Hello and welcome to the Micro Business Development Program Deep Dive Podcast, hosted by three guys in ties. I'm Tyler Jokinen, Micro Business Counselor and Project Embrace Coordinator.
I'm Adam Annunziata, Business Counselor with Brock Community Action.
And I'm Benton Winrich, Business Counselor with Brock Community Action.
Welcome to the Deep Dive Podcast. Today, we're talking about 4 business startup myths. Let's get right into it. I think the first myth I'd like to talk about is having a winning idea is the key to a successful business. I do not think this is necessarily true, and I know Ty and Ben agree with me on this. The reason that it's not true is that when an established business has success, you know that model works. Whatever service or product they're offering, you know there's a demand for it. You know that they have some type of system figured out, and it can be easy to see why it's successful when there's established clientele and demand for the product.
I think you're absolutely right. This is a huge myth. I think a lot of people think about starting a business. They think, I got to have a brilliant idea. I got to have $1 million idea. They could be waiting for the rest of their life for this great idea. Or the other thing is people have great ideas and then they never act on them. Everybody has great ideas, but it's the ones who take that idea and put it into an actual plan and work the plan and bring it into reality that actually bring it to success. It's not having the winning idea. You got to have the winning idea as well as the drive, tenacity, and ability to bring it home. Or a lot of successful businesses don't have a great winning idea, but they're just able to perform and do the work and run the business at a high rate of excellence. That's really the key, operational excellence.
Exactly, Tyler. You're saying, it's really this myth of the $1 million idea. I mean, business owners, prospective business owners really think that they need that $1 million idea. And even if you have the $1 million idea, $1 million idea is not $1 million idea without that $1 million of backing and hard work that follows with it. So there's so much more than having this winning idea or the myth of this winning idea that goes into successful business. I mean, many of the businesses that we think of today aren't revolutionary ideas. A lot of the most successful businesses are piggybacking off of existing successful ideas. And, a lot of business owners don't necessarily, or prospective business owners don't necessarily think of that when they first started or thinking about starting the business. And, that's really something that is we're really trying to dispel, is that you don't need to have this new creative winning idea to be successful.
Don't get me wrong. I would love to see somebody come in with an entrepreneurial idea that is taking a classic business model and revolutionizing it in some way. That would be fantastic. So often we don't get entrepreneurial ideas. We get people who are looking to start the traditional small startup businesses. Starting a landscaping business is not an entrepreneurial idea, but doing that landscaping business with a different type of business model and payment model and service model could be an entrepreneurial idea. But the idea of waiting until you have this big, brilliant idea is insane. All you need is consistency and dedication and the ability to keep learning. You can take almost any business model that you have background experience in and turn that into something successful. I think this myth that the winning idea is the key to business success it's busted.
Tyler, I like what you say about, consistency and, just consistent excellence in business to really make it. And I think that really brings us to the second myth that we're really trying to dispel, which is that you need to take these huge risks and gambles to make it as a business owner. A lot of business success is not built on these gambles and blind leaps. It's really built on this calculated risk and calculated effort to build your business and make it successful.
Definitely. Depending on how thorough your business plan is, that's going to mitigate your risk, because in your business plan, you'll do your competitor analysis. You'll know who your competition is. You'll have your well thought out idea. You'll know how you're going to do financially when you do all your financial projections, which are huge. It's going to tell you how much it's going to cost to sell your product, how much to produce it. All those little items definitely mitigate your risk. So it's not necessarily that you're taking a huge risk once you have all this information in your business plan. That's kind of like your backup, and that definitely will hedge against, taking this gigantic risk that's assumed.
These are very risk averse actions, if anything. So, I mean, for many small business owners, it might be more about being more risk averse to really continuing your success as it is to leveraging everything on one huge gamble.
I mean, I can't agree more. Like the business owners, they need to have the perfect balance balance of being risk adverse and calculated and planning. But they also, once the plan is there and everything makes sense and the financial projections look good and it's all set and you've thought about it and you talked it through and you have it written down and you're ready to launch the business, that's when you have to make the gut check and you got to go. You got to go. So many people will go through the business planning process and then will be too scared to launch the business. And another group of people will just not do the business planning process and they're on the other end and they're just going to launch right in. They're going to rent a space out. They have no idea what the demographics are. They've never run a business before. And those are the statistics we see that fail. A business plan increases your chance of success. It's not taking the risks. It's taking calculated risks. It's not, as Ben said before, betting the farm. No, do that. Never put your rent or your mortgage payments at risk starting a business. It puts too much stress on the business itself. It needs to be calculated. If you can't afford to start the business larger and what you wanted, start it small. Start it from a home office. This can be started from anything. You don't need any money to start a small micro business. It's just insane. People taking out leveraged loans on credit lines they can't afford to start a business. Don't do that. Don't take the risk of putting your mortgage and your family at risk to start the business. This myth is busted. Come on. I'm excited. I can't help it. I can't help it, guys. This whole thing, it's just insane that you have to take huge risks and that you need $1 million idea. I mean, these are just, I know they're prevalent myths in our society, but come on.
And this, this focus on $1 million idea, needing these risks. Again, some people think that they need $1 million to start their business. And they think that their business won't be successful unless they have these huge amounts of money to put up into their startup.
Oh, no,
that's not the case.
You're talking about the worst myth of all.
More money is not going to help your business start up and be more successful. It may be good, but I think, a lot of business owners overinflate the importance of a startup capital in getting their business off the ground. There's so much more in terms of just financial capital that you need to start that business. It comes in with, your background. Are you willing to put in the work? There's so many other forms of capital that go into that business than just financial.
Oh, this idea that more money will solve your startup problems is insane. You know what's going to solve your startup problems? More education, more learning, more self-discipline. Those are going to solve your startup problems. More money? That's just going to pour gasoline on a fire that you're not ready to handle. You can't take somebody with no business experience, give them $1 million and say run a business. The saying is true. A fool and his money are soon parted. And don't let that be bank-owned loans that you're doing this with. It's just crazy. More money will not solve your startup problems. It's going to lead to a disaster. Adam, preach to me about the restaurant industry and more money. Come on.
Yeah, more money definitely not going to help you on startup. A lot of the startup work is going to be done with your back. You're going to be doing it yourself, bootstrapping your startup. I'm sure you've heard that phrase before. You pull your bootstraps up and just get to work. And that's what it takes, from laying out a thorough business plan and doing all that research to just actually starting the business, getting your hands dirty and doing what it takes. More money, like you said, if you want to try and leverage your business by using debt, it's going to make it a much more stressful endeavor when you could just start the business smaller. And with a restaurant, it's hard because there is a ton of overhead and, you're dealing with a perishable item, which is food, and then people's tastes come into play. It's a difficult industry to be in, and it always has been, but throwing more money into it, buying nicer china or buying nicer glassware, buying more expensive ingredients sometimes. So it's just not necessary. And that can really set you way far back when it comes time to start writing your personal paycheck. I mean, it can take away from that in a very, very bad way.
This more money will solve your problems idea it's not true. It's simply not true with businesses because the problem is that unless you go through those early stages of business growth, you don't know what you don't know yet. So the idea of getting your first customer, getting the business started and letting sales. You need sales. Sales are king in order to grow your business. If your business starts off large and you've never had any sales and you're for this grand opening, you don't know. You're risking so much to do that. But if you start off small with small sales, and this might be, maybe it's 2 sales the first week and set the next goal. I'm going to get 3 sales next week, and it builds and it builds and the money comes in. And then maybe you get another loan, you get another payment per month and more money comes in and you keep doing this and you scale scale the business slowly over time.
So all this talk of startup myths and busting some of these, some business owners and prospective business owners might think that I don't know if this is something that I can accomplish. And that's one of the last myths that we're trying to bust here today, is that starting up a business is not a Herculean task. With proper preparation and a solid business plan and a solid idea, you can really build a real winner.
I mean, absolutely right. So the myth is, if I understand it, starting a business is hard.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, starting and setting up an LLC online at the Vermont Secretary of State and registering the business, what do you guys think? That takes about 20 minutes, $125, and you have a business certificate. Getting the things to start the business, actually just starting the business, having it ready for first sale, we can get that set. If you work with us every week for 6 weeks and your business is a reasonable expectation, we can get you to get to that first sale. I don't think starting the business, I'd say, is hard. I'd say running the business successfully is hard.
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to run the business, that's the hard part. But the startup is mostly prep work, where you're writing your business plan, you're doing your research, and that work isn't necessarily hard, just a little bit time consuming. And you want to make sure that you're always using, top quality information when you're putting that into your plan, because you want to have the right information to get you the correct result that you're seeking.
Not to mention, you have us. You have the micro business development program. We've been there. We've done it. We can help you start this. So I can't say it's hard.
Exactly. I mean, it certainly takes a bit of legwork, and it's not going to be a walk in the park. But especially with a micro business counselor, I mean, we're talking about a very realistic expectation of getting your business started in a timely fashion and like getting it off the ground. Saying that it's going to be hard and that you can't do it, I just don't agree with that.
It takes time, it takes commitment, it takes a work ethic, but it doesn't, like Ben, I think you said, it's not Herculean. Anybody can start the business, especially if you're dedicated and have time and energy to put into this, and you work with a counselor and you meet with them regularly. You can start a business. I'm confident about that. It's really the reason why this program exists and why we're here, is to help people start businesses who never thought they could, who didn't grow up with a parent who was a business owner, who haven't been around business owners. We can be your connection to that world of business owners and business thinking and conversation. We want to be there for you in starting the business. And we're not just there to help you write it. We're there to help mentor and guide you along the way.
Thank you for listening to the Deep Dive Podcast featuring 3 guys in ties. Hopefully you've learned something from us here today. And if you would like to learn more about our free business counseling, please check us out on the web at www.mbdp.org. mbdp.org. Thank you for listening, and we hope to hear from you soon.